The coaching staff is focused on the matchup with Tennessee in the NCAA tournament, but it's also time to start breaking down transfer portal players. The staff's having to balance preparing for Tennessee and the portal, and so are we here at the Wildcats Today Podcast. And that's what we're going to talk about. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak, publisher over at Kentucky Wildcats on SI. Joined, as always, by Carson Nash. And Carson, I think it's fun talking a little portal stuff. We're going to talk more Tennessee tomorrow. But before we get into the portal stuff, it's Wednesday. How are we feeling about the game on Friday night? Give me your early thoughts before we break it down tomorrow.
Yeah, the butterflies are already flying around in my stomach, dude. It's already been a long week so far. I am nervous. I am super, super nervous for the game. But I'm also excited, too. And I have less of an anxiety, more of an excitement, which is kind of exciting because normally I'm just anxious. So super excited about the game Friday and what could come of it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And we're going to break it down. Tomorrow's podcast is going to be a full breakdown preview of the game. We'll talk about, I've got a lot of stats to run through. We got a lot of numbers when it comes to what did we do to beat them these last two times. What are we going to have to do to beat them on Friday? Going to be a fun show tomorrow. So once again, tomorrow we will have a podcast around whatever time you're watching this, around 4-ish. That'll be breaking down the matchup with the Tennessee Volunteers on Friday night. But we're going to talk a little bit of portal today. Obviously that is a hot topic right now. Hold on. My microphone just unplugged. Did it not unplug? Was it never plugged in?
What? No, we can hear you.
You can still hear me?
Yeah, we've
my
been able to
cord.
hear you the whole time, buddy.
Okay, well now I'm just going to get rid of my microphone because the cord, I thought I was through my microphone.
Because if the cord doesn't work, then it's just in the way.
Well, touche. But it fell, and I was like, great, I'm going to go get muted again, and then nothing happened, so it must have just never been plugged in. So, okay, cool, hook them. But we're going to talk about portal a little bit today. And, Carson, there's a handful of names we're going to run through. We're going to save Donovan Dent for last. You got to just stick around. If you want to hear about Donovan Dent, you're going to have to bear with us here. But, Carson, who's the player? We'll start it this way. What guy gets you the most fired up? What player do you want to start talking about here as we break down all these targets?
The guy that kind of jumps off the page for me at the beginning is Lamar Wilkerson, 6'5" guard out of Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
He's averaging 20.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. I wrote down, I said, this year's Chaz Lanier. I think this guy he can score in droves. Like, this dude can play the Kobe Bryant role, but he is way more creative offensively. Kind of like what we're seeing now, the version that Kobe is now, kind of getting to the basket more, being more involved in the offense overall. He's already that polished. He's a good enough ball handler. He's a 14% assist rate, so he's a good passer as well. He's a physical athlete. He's like an Otega Owe build, kind of. So I love bringing in physicality in athletes, especially in the SEC. So he really jumps off the page for me and gets me excited.
6'5", 205 is no joke right there. But you know what else is no joke? What else is no joke is 44.5% on 7.7 attempts per game from three. That's no small sample size. That's no 1.4 a game. That is a lot of threes per game, and he makes a lot of threes per game. But I agree with you. He's got the frame, and from watching the film on him, he's got the frame that he's going to do both. He's going to be able – he clearly can shoot it, but he can also get to the rim and helps on the boards a little bit. 4 rebounds a game, a couple assists per game. He is a guy that I think would be a great fit for what we need right now. Now, where do you – from the film you've watched in our system, he's more of a 2, you agree, right? Or do you,
100%. Yeah, he's way more of a 2. I like him coming off ball screens and stuff like that. I mean, he's fine with the ball in his hands. He's a lot like Otega, right? Yeah. We would rather him come off ball, but he can dribble the ball down the court as well. So I like him either way. More of an off-ball guy, though.
And that's why I like your take on the Chaz Lanier comp. A great 2 that's going to come from a smaller school, Sam Houston. Chaz came from North Florida. It's a pretty good comp. And, Chaz has been a great player pretty much. He's had 3 bad games this year. The 2 times he played Kentucky during the season, and on Friday night, he's going to have a bad game. So he's a great player, and I think that's a really good comp. So I like Lamar Wilkerson. Where do you kind of think that we are? I've seen we've contacted him. What do you think? Like, do you feel good about us landing a kid like him? What's it going to cost us NIL wise? What are your thoughts on all that conversation?
Yeah, I think Arkansas will be a player here. I think because he's from Arkansas. But again, with Arkansas, you got a lot of young guys coming in, right? So it'll always be interesting to see how that shakes out. And Cal's not the biggest on taking transfer guys. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I'd say Kentucky has a good shot here, but there's still time, like recruiting's fluid, like we say. It's still early in the process for him. I don't even think he has a top 5 list out yet, but I feel as of now, Kentucky's made contact. I feel like it's been reciprocated. So I'd say they're probably firmly in the top 5 if there was a list.
Yeah, I agree. And he's one of the guys. Where did you rank him on your rankings? You said you ranked the players. Was he your number 1 guy you want the most, or where was he?
No, he's number 2.
Okay. Well, we'll get to number 1 later. I don't know who your number 1 is, but we said there's 2 names that are really hot within Kentucky Twitter right now. Talked about Dent. You're gonna have to wait. We'll talk about him at the tail end of this. But we'll go ahead and give you one now. And it's Eaglestaff from North Dakota. And a kid, Trayson Eaglestaff. Carson, don't you have a personal beef with Trayson Eaglestaff?
Yeah, he dropped 51 in his conference tournament to eliminate me and Cam's 6-leg parlay. It was the last leg, and we forgot that he had dropped 40 on Bama earlier in the season, and we even watched that game, and then he killed us again. And you just have to tip your cap at that point.
So Eaglestaff, that was the game that you just talked about, that Alabama game. I watched him in that game against the Crimson Tide, and that was a home game. I wonder if that had something to do with
Grant Nelson.
Grant Nelson, I bet they did that for him. But Eaglestaff, 18.9 points per ball game, 2.8 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and he shoots 35.9% from 3 on how many attempts? I bet it's an absurd amount. 7.1, so actually not more than Wilkerson. But a guy, a bucket getter. Now, I'll you want to hear a bold take?
Yeah.
And people aren't going to like it, and that's all right. I like Eaglestaff a lot. I like him. I do like him, but I have a feeling if you go right now and you look at the top 10 players in last year's portal, there's a couple of them that were definitely a bust, right? That happens every year. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. What I am saying is he's going to be really expensive NIL money-wise, and I just think there's some watching film. I watched a lot of film on Wilkerson today. I would take Wilkerson over Eaglestaff. And I think a lot of people love Eaglestaff because what he did against Bama, that 51, he's capable of putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. I'm not saying I don't like him. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to have a good year wherever he goes. But I just think that you can get a player for a little bit less NIL money that's maybe even better. So that's my bold take. Carson, am I crazy or do you agree?
No, yeah, I do agree. I think, but here's my counter argument, I would say, is he's been a very ball-dominant ISO player at North Dakota because he had to be. And I think if he comes in and plays the Brea role in Pope's offense where he doesn't have to create his offense as much and gets open looks off of his own teammates, then his field goal percentages could go up and we could see him become a even better version of himself. I think he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Tyler Hero, where if that first shot goes in, boy, good night. Like he just go home because he's going to go crazy. He's very streaky, but if he can get that under control, boy, he can be a great basketball player.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? I actually think he's better at creating than Brea was when he came from.
Oh, yeah. No, if you see most of his highlights, he's running the one creating his own offense in ISO play.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about our buddy from Spain, from Robert Morris?
Yeah, Alvaro Vulgaris. Well, I think most of y'all probably witnessed him go up against Bama in the round of 64. He had 15, 10, and 4, which he looked really good against them. Yeah. But the crazy thing that pops off the page for me is 3.1 assists per game at the forward position and 22% assist rate. So he's kind of going to play that Amari Williams role. And I wrote sneaky athlete, capable defender, 4% block rate. He's 94th percentile in catch and shoot situations. So if he's open and he gets the ball, he's probably going to knock it down. I really like him to play that 4 role for us, kind of like
Mm.
Andrew Carr, but I think he's more athletic than Andrew Carr is.
Yeah.
So it could be a step up at that position.
Well, I mean, let's let's go through these numbers, and you just read them, but like let's look at them within the eyeballs of Mark Pope, and let's really bring this into perspective here. So we're talking about 14.1 points per game. He can score. 9.1 rebounds per game. He can rebound. 3.2 assists. He can dish. 54.8% from the field, so he's efficient. He had the 45th best field goal percentage in college hoops, and then he was 30th best in rebounds, 9.1 per game, like I just said. He also shot 41.3% from deep on 3.1 attempts. So, I mean, he's out there shooting a few a game. That, to me, sounds exactly what Mark Pope's looking for. A guy that's going to, sometimes I think these bigs that are really good at passing and dribbling and shooting, they lack in the rebounding. He can rebound. He can shoot. No, he's not a high percent. Like, he's not a guy that's going to go out there and shoot 5 threes a game. But when he's open, he's going to make it. Kind of like what we see from Brandon Garrison. He's been shooting the ball, better of late.
And Carr.
Of course, Carr's been really good from deep.
Mm-hmm.
I like this kid a lot. I think this is, of the bigs we've reached out to in the forwards, and I think power forwards probably are number one most important. If we don't land Amen, which I haven't heard his name, I don't see that happening. Like, you need a 4 desperately.
And my take is, I think this kid, I would take this kid right now over Nate Amen. I mean, because I think he could be more of an impact at the college level right now than Nate will be.
And he's a sophomore, so he'll have 2 years.
He's 19 right now, so
yeah.
he's only getting better.
And 6'9", 215. So that's 6'9", 215. He's built. He's not like
if you look at his film, he's physical. Like, he's not getting pushed around.
He's actually, based on, I watched film on like 6, 7-ish guys today. He's the guy I want the most for this team.
But out of this list we're going to talk about today, I feel the best about our position.
I do
with
too.
Him.
I think we land him. I think that happens for sure. Like, I feel very confident in us getting him, because I think, how many times we used the term the Mark Pope system this time last year? Mm-hmm. The Mark Pope system, right? Maybe players didn't really know what that meant. You know what I mean? I just think there's something different. They could have watched the BYU tape, and I know BYU is a Sweet 16 team. I'm not trying to knock BYU, but you could now you can turn on Kentucky Mark Pope film, and players go, oh, you know what I mean? I just think Kentucky is a much more appetizing transfer portal destination for some of these players now that Mark Pope has proven it. Hey, we're still dancing, and it's the second weekend. So I think that we're going to do really well in the portal. Sorry to get sidetracked on that.
Yeah, and you can see the development process already being taken with the steps that Kobe Brea has made, right? So if you want to talk about someone that has jumped leaps and bounds, Kobe Brea at Dayton was kind of strictly just a 3-point shooter. Yeah. He's developed so much to where he can take the ball in the rim, score at will, pretty much being a 3-level scorer now instead of just a 3-point guy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, you've seen that development there. And it's pretty clear to me. And I think that, I wrote about this today, and when I wrote it, I wrote an article for Kentucky Wildcats on SI, and I said a lot of people are going to be angry about this, so I want to make sure I explain well what I'm talking about here. But, I mean, if you pull up the On3 transfer portal rankings from last year, Otega Owe is really good, and Lamont Butler is really good, and Amari Williams is really good. They weren't ranked high. You know what I mean? And rankings aren't everything. We know that. But I'm just telling you, I think that I think last year some of those players wanted to see what Mark Pope had to offer. And I think they've now seen it. And so the article was kind of saying, I think that we get a handful of those top 25 portal.
Yeah, I definitely think we have more of a choice with those top tier guys this year after proving that we can get to Sweet 16 and even further. But I think that it's huge that he showed that he can do that, because now these guys trust in that process and have seen the players go through it through a year, and kind of now trust Pope to get them to that next step.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a second, Carson. I want to talk a little bit of roster management, okay, while we're on this conversation, because I think it's important. So I want to bring this up. So the only players that we could potentially return are Travis Trent, Colin, Garrison, and Otega, and then Kerr.
Yeah.
And I think Kerr hits the portal. I'm just being honest with you. I don't see Kerr.
Yeah, I don't think Kerr returns. No.
I think a lot of people are going to be upset when that happens. And heck, I will be too. I love Kirk Creason, but I don't see him returning next year. So I look at it as 5 players right there. Those, and I'll tell you this, and maybe you say this is bold, and college basketball, and I hate having to say this on this podcast right now. There's nothing less I want to say about this right now, but I have a feeling Travis is going to kind of get recruited over heavily, very heavily. I mean, it's Mark Pope he can't be worried about feelings because he's got to win basketball games and win titles. And right now, yes, Travis is going to, we look at this as, okay, a lot of people are going to be upset about that. And I understand it. We all love Travis Perry. Okay. We love him. If Travis Perry was from Charleston, West Virginia, would anyone want him back next year?
Probably not, unfortunately.
And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying that the reality is I'm not saying that he's not going to be on the team next year. What I'm saying is I have a feeling the coaching staff, he's not going to be much in the plans because there's just right now he can't defend. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. I love Travis Perry. We all do. Great kid, great person. But I think that, so to me, I look at it as Noah, Chandler, Garrison, Owe. Mm-hmm. And then Moreno, Caden Lewis, Jasper Johnson, and then you got 4 or 5 spots that you're going to hammer in the portal. So do you agree there? So we're both assuming now I'm not saying Travis won't be back next year. What I'm saying is I don't know how much he is in the coaching staff's plan for the future. And I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's just kind of a vibe. So tell me if I'm wrong about that.
No, I completely agree with you. I definitely think that could be something. I mean, I'm not saying that could be entirely true. They might not recruit over him. I don't know, but that's definitely something that's on the table. And you're right. Like, I mean, it might be in our best decision to maybe feel out some other areas. Just, I think in the SEC, you need size. And Travis is lackluster in that area. But I mean, we have a lot of roster spots, so he can continue to develop under Kentucky and become great as well. So we'll see what happens.
But so I hate saying that. I'm not sitting here. I mean, there's no one in the world less that wants to sit here and talk about this than Carson and I about Travis Perry. But we have to be, candid when we do this. And I kind of foresee that playing out in some capacity. And I mean, this honestly, before the last 2 months, the same could have been said about Travis and about Trent and Colin, but they've been really good. And so I think that we go get – so let's talk about this before we move on to more players, Carson. I think that – do you think BG plays 4 or 5 next year? Because I think that plays a role in how many players we go and like what we do in the portal at the forward position.
I'd say BG's probably more of a 5. Okay. I don't really see him as a 4.
I agree. So now here's my question for you, and this is another and I'm sounding super negative when I say all this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to really talk about next year's roster, configuration. Moreno, how do you feel rolling into next season with Garrison and Moreno as your 2 5s?
I feel good about it now, but I also think they're going to go get somebody as well.
Yeah.
Like I think we're going to bolster up that front court. We're going to get a center. We'll probably get 2 forwards and a center, I would imagine, for the front court.
And then what do you think we need? So if we do that, and then obviously, I mean, you kind of got then your backcourt, we'll just call the 1, 2, and 3 your backcourt for this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You'll have Otega, you'll have Jasper, you'll have a Caden, you'll have Colin,
mm-hmm.
and then Travis. And then Trent, I guess, is in that conversation too. He's more of a 3. So I still think we go get 2 guards, 2 legit serious guards.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think you get 2 to 3 guards. Just depending on what we decide to do there at guard. Yeah. I think you're going to see a big portal class here. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if Jasper is on the bench to start the season.
I agree. And I think we once again have to get out of our Calipari brain. That's a good thing. You want your freshmen. The NBA, no one should be worried about Jasper Johnson's draft status because if he's a good enough player, coming off the bench, he can get drafted. You know what I mean? They look
especially in this offense, he's going to get 25 minutes a game, even off the bench.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, no one needs to be like, well, what about his NBA? He's NBA looks at upside and looks at all that. He'll be just fine coming off the bench playing 22 minutes a game. He'll be fine. He's going to be all right. So, okay, but I want to talk, and this will obviously, we'll rehave this conversation about roster configuration when our season does end, hopefully in like 3 weeks. Will be when that conversation is. But so, what is another player you are looking at in the portal, Carson Nash?
Well, yeah, if you want to continue on talk about guards, Tulane freshman Cam Williams. He's a 6'8". Yeah, he's a freshman, 6'8". Well, going to be a sophomore, but 6'8" guard, Cam Williams. He shoots. He averages 9.3 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.3 assists. He shoots 41.2% from three, and he shoots 42.2 from the field. The thing that is kind of crazy about him is he could test the NBA. Like, the NBA teams are looking at him. He has a 12.2 usage rate, and like comparative to Kobe Bryant's 16.8 usage rate for Kentucky right now, I feel like that's a really low usage rate for being on Tulane and where he's at. I wrote down he's a very promising project. He's lengthy. He's super athletic. He can get to the rim when he wants to. He's a project, but he also is going to be a sophomore and a freak athlete. And he really does like Kentucky. He's been in the most contact. I feel like him and Vulgaris are probably the two that I would tab as Kentucky guys so far.
Yeah, I like Cam Williams because I like the upside that his frame brings and his ability to handle the ball. He's 6'8", but he's more of a LaMelo 6'8" than he is like, you know what I mean? LaMelo Ball, that is like he can handle the basketball.
Yeah, he's like a guy you can play 1, 2, 3, 4 if you wanted to.
This kid's going to be a star. And I have a feeling he comes back to college. I have a feeling he plays for the University of Kentucky, and I have a feeling he's going to be a dominant force in the SEC. He's just got the makings. You know, he's, like I said, shooting 40% on almost about 5 attempts per game. He can get
quick trigger. I mean, have you seen his shot?
Yeah,
he gets that thing off fast.
He's just this kid. When you watch him play, if you showed me the film and said he's a 6'8" true freshman, what do you think he averages right now at Tulane? I'd have probably told you he averages 14 or 15 points a game.
Based off the highlights,
seriously. His numbers don't like – I think that he's got better basketball in him than those numbers show. I think a lot of people look at the portal and they go, oh, he averages only under 10 points. Who cares?
That's why I started the usage rating. Because, if you're not going to use him, he's not going to average a lot of points, assists, rebounds.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is a kid, but people are going to – oh, we landed a transfer from Tulane. His name's Cam Williams. Oh, 9 points a game?
Yeah, this is one people will hear it and be disappointed in when they should be excited.
Very excited, I think. So, yeah, I feel I'm pretty good there.
Kind of like us with Ortega last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good example. I mean, well, what did Ortega average? Do you remember what he averaged?
He was more around, he was at like 12.2 maybe, around the 12 range, because we talked about him improving his free throw shooting, and then
11.4. Yeah, so 11. I mean,
okay.
He averaged. This kid averages, 2 points less than Ortega did.
Yeah,
what is we've got like 10, 12 names, but what's another name you like on this?
Yeah, list? Another one of my favorites, and another one I feel good about with Kentucky is Magoon Gawath out of San Diego State. He's the Mountain West Player of the Year. He also was a freshman this season. So winning Defensive Player of the Year as a freshman in the Mountain West is kind of crazy. He's a lengthy athlete. He has soft touch around the rim. He's 7 feet tall, so that's impressive. I wrote down he has defensive diversity, and I love that term because being diverse defensively means you can guard the 1 through 5. I think he's athletic enough to be able to switch onto anybody. I wrote down I think he's the most intriguing prospect on this list. He's a 7-footer. He shoots 37.8% from three, 50% from the field. He's 8.5 points a game, 5.2 rebounds a game. He's a promising project piece. I get excited about him. I immediately think Willie Cauley-Stein with a jump shot. So that's what comes to mind there.
This is a kid to me. I think for what I am not. I'm not looking at this transfer portal conversation and saying to myself, obviously we want to get the best players, but I'm worried about the best fit. We want the best fit for what we're trying to do here. And that conversation we just had, Garrison, Moreno, if you added Magoon Guaf into this conversation with those two guys and those are your fives, this is the perfect room of sinners. I just think because he brings a mixture of defense, offensive upside. He can shoot the three ball. Obviously, it's not his calling card, but he can do it. He's a big, strong, legitimate 7-foot kid, 205 pounds. So he's not an Amari Williams type of 7-foot, but he's still strong and physical.
Yeah, I think his size, he needs to get in the weight room for sure, but he brings ball handling at that size at 7 feet tall and shooting, creating his own shot too. He's a freak. I really, really like this kid.
I too. I mean, what I'm saying is here's how I want to explain Guaf to everybody. Here's how I look at him. I think it's similar to Williams, which from Tulane. I think if you look at the numbers and you're going to go, okay, cool, right? But I mean, when you watch the kid play, when you watch him play and you see what he can do and think about him in the way we play basketball, it is a very scary combination. I think he's the perfect fit for what we're looking for at our 5 right now. So I really like what he brings to the table. And I think he's a guy I feel good about him too. So, I mean, if you go get the Robert Morris 4, Magoon Guaf to be a 5, I mean, you get Williams and then you go get like Wilkerson or an Eaglestaff or a Dent. I mean, this team, we can't be bad. I mean, we cannot be bad. I'm just telling y'all, it's going to be scary. I genuinely am terrified for everybody else in college basketball when you add Mark Pope as a basketball coach to the roster he's going to have. I really feel like it's not going to be that fair. I think it's going to be that special.
No, I completely agree. And I want to continue talking about some guys on here. There's been one guy that's had a lot of contact too, and this might be a questionable take. His name's Dedan Thomas. He's the sophomore guard from UNLV, averaging 15.6 points a game, 2 rebounds a game, 4.7 assists per game, shooting 41% from the field and 35% from 3. He has a 28% assist rate, so he's a great passer. But I think he's 6'1". He's a little undersized, and he's not as athletic as you would like as an SEC point guard. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Mark Sears in the fact of like he's smaller, he's crafty, but not super athletic. But at the same time, he's not a great 3-point shooter. He only attempts 2.6 3-point shots a game. So he's not really chucking up a lot of shots and shooting 35% while he's at it. I know we've talked to him. I don't know if I love this one, Andrew. What do you think?
I think you bring up great points. And here's my thoughts on it. You know who he reminds me a little bit of? That's a point guard who's in the portal.
Who?
From NC, Elliot Kidu.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the reason I say this, once again, I mean, we're in Steph Curry basketball, ladies and gentlemen. 3-point guards are shooting now. That's just the reality. The point guards are shooting, and he shoots 2.6 threes a game, like you said. Carson shooting 35.3%. So what that tells me, that means that if he's averaging basically 1 made 3-pointer per game, right? 1 made, that's his average, and he's averaging 16 points. That means his other 13 points are coming either from the free throw line or from scoring 2-point baskets.
He gets to the line a lot.
He gets to the line a lot, and that's great and all. But I mean,
he reminds me of Mark Sears.
Exactly, and that's it's a great comparison. But when I watched the film on him, I went, I don't know. Now, who I'd love to go watch the Alabama Today podcast to see what they said when Mark Sears committed. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to be like, damn it, if this kid commits to us. But I agree with you, Carson. When I watched the film on him, I said to myself, will that work in the SEC? And we could look like idiots. This kid could go to Missouri and average 19 a game and we'll look stupid. Could
100%, because his pace of play is awesome. Like, I think he's a very strategic guard. In the SEC, I love physicality and size, and I just think that might be a little worrisome for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to take him. I think he's a good player, but the guy that's going to run the show for us, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm buying this one. I'm not going to be upset about it. And once again, if Mark Pope takes him, then we're wrong, because I take Mark Pope over what I, you know what I mean? If Mark Pope wants him that bad, and that's who, if Mark Pope is putting the basketball in this guy's hands all season long, then Mark Pope's right, because I'm always going to trust Mark Pope. But
I agree. They're part of that is I'm just going to trust Coach too.
Yeah.
But another guy I wanted to bring up, this one had a lot of Kentucky fans questioning our coaching staff. Elijah Freeman, D2, 6'8" freshman guard from Lincoln Memorial. He's averaging 19.3 points a game, 9.1 rebounds, 2.4 assists, shooting 57.8% from the field, 46% from three-point line. What do you think about him? I mean, he's a freak athlete. The tape looks off the charts. How are you feeling about him?
Well, the thing about Elijah Freeman, first of all, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, okay? Wasn't Lincoln Memorial just Division I? Am I stupid?
I'm not entirely sure about that one.
I gotta look this up now, because I'm gonna go. I swear it was D1. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm an idiot. Y'all tell us. Well, I'll figure it out before, but yeah, let us know. I don't know why I thought one of my old Midway baseball teammates plays there, and I thought he was. I don't know. I thought it was. But point is, I've watched the film on Freeman. This is all beside the point. What I'll tell you about him, people get too focused on titles, I think, with players. How many players come from junior colleges? How many players come from – there is good basketball, there's good football, there's good baseball, there's good soccer, there's good table tennis at every level of college athletics. And at the end of the day, if Mark Pope believes this kid can come and compete at the University of Kentucky, I'm trusting Mark Pope at every step of the way. And, let's say we do get Freeman. That's died out a little. He was – I don't know about died out, but he was like the first name that popped up when the opened. And – I haven't seen as much about him of late. If you have, Carson, you tell me. But I think that I think people get too caught up in that. I mean, there's a lot of good players that come from Division II and come from smaller schools, come from junior colleges.
Well, that's what I wrote down. I said he's a freak athlete. I mean, the tape is crazy. I mean, he's beating people off the bounce. He's creating his own shot. I wrote down Dalton Connect 2.0 ? Because coming from D2, the kid looks like a freak, and I think he could easily translate to Division I. I think physically his body is built enough to translate. And like I said, I mean, he was a freshman this year, so he's a project piece. And I wouldn't mind taking a shot on a kid like that. He's 6'8", he can dribble. I like it.
Yeah, I'm fully with you on that. I think that if we end up taking him, I'm all in on it. I think that he is a player that can help this basketball team in the future. And I don't think he would be brought in here to be a starter. You know what I mean?
No.
He's not gonna be the guy. He's gonna be like an Ainsley Almanor, the type of addition for us. That guy that's, kind of one of your last, players, legit dudes. That's who he would be to me. So it's not like we're bringing him in here to be our star 18 points a game player. Well, we already have him on roster to take it away for next year. But you get what I'm saying. So I'm a believer until I'm proven wrong. If Mark Pope wants somebody, I want him, on a player like this. Now, we can have our preferences. I'd rather this guy than this guy, of course. But if Mark Pope believes he's got it, then I believe he's got it. The other name that I have been seeing people talk about, did you write down notes on Frankie Collins, Carson?
No, I have not.
So Frankie Collins comes over from TCU, and he's a guy that I I like what he brings to the table. He's a 6'2", 200-pound senior guard, 11.2 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 4.4 assists. This is a newer one. I saw a pop up today. Reach out to him. He spent a lot of time at some different schools. He started at Michigan, went to Arizona State for a few years, and he was at TCU this year, but only played 9 games due to an injury. I like him. I like the film. I don't know if we're going to land him. I think this is going to be one that it's talked about for a day or two and kind of goes away. But St. John's, SMU, USC, Kentucky, Vandy, Grand Canyon have all reached out to him. I like the film on him. I think he's a good kind of veteran guard that's played a lot of college basketball, but I'm not sure that we end up landing him. So do you got any guys you want to talk about, Carson, before we get to the one that everyone's been waiting for?
No, that's all I've got. I'm ready to talk about Mr. Donovan Dent.
So
Mr. New Mexico's finest, the guard that upset number 7 seed Marquette, averaging 20 points a game, 2 rebounds a game, and 6.4 assists a game, shooting 49% from the field, 40% from 3, Mountain West Player of the Year. He's best player in the portal. I think it's going to be a blue blood recruitment. I think Kentucky Duke's going to get in there for sure. I think Louisville might even be in there a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see where he falls. He would completely change this team off impact alone. Him and Otega in the backcourt would be the best backcourt in college basketball next year. So he's a big fish.
Yeah, he is. So, Carson, here's my question for you on Donovan Dent. I've seen the numbers. It's going to take a lot of money. And here's how I look at this, okay? And my great example talking about the Kentucky NIL usage, I have to bring it back to football. And it was the year that we went and got Leary. And I saw a stat. And it was something like our NIL budget for football was like $3.2 million or like it was basically we spent over 50% of our NIL budget going to get Devin Leary. And now I sound real smart right now saying, well, that was silly after Devin Leary wasn't all that great. If he was a Heisman candidate, you'd be all for it. But I mean, we have a bunch of players to go get. And obviously, I mean, hey, we have, I know, but you do. The sad reality is you have to look at college basketball and all college athletics display now. You have to find a way to go get all these players. And so here's my question. If I said we spent 65-70% of our NIL budget going to get Donovan Dent, and it kind of takes away from some of the other players we can go get in the portal, are you all for it?
Probably not, depending on who you could get with the allotted money that you have left, right? I mean, now if you're given like 20 mil and everybody else is given like 15 mil and you got a couple extra million to throw around, then you should probably use it on Donovan Dent. But I mean, I'm like you. It's like an NBA team now. You got to meet the salary cap, whatever. You got to make sure you don't go over budget. So I would like to see him build a kind of like this year, more of a unit, like a team. I mean, you could definitely go get Lamar Wilkerson for cheaper than you can Dent. I know he doesn't make the point guard impact as much as Dent would, like facilitating the ball and in that way, but he brings the same amount of scoring. So I mean, there's different ways to look at it and assess the situation. And I trust Coach Pope 100%.
I do. So I'll throw this, and once again, this is based on numbers that we don't know, we don't have access to, but this is just, a fun conversation to have, Carson. If I said you could have Dent and Guaf, or you can have Fulgaris, Wilkerson, Guaf, and Cam Williams.
Option 2.
That's kind of my thought here. Is
but I think that like you could throw in another one, like you could get Freeman too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Dent's price is going to be higher than a lot of people's price.
Yeah, he will be the number one player in the portal. He will be – everybody will want him. North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas. Everybody's going to want Donovan Dent. There's obviously the chance that he follows Coach Pitino to Xavier, but it would take a lot of – I mean, I don't know.
Talk about NIL budgets.
Yeah. They're going to have – if Xavier goes and gets Donovan Dent, then I'm going to be playing the 4 and you're going to be playing the 3 on that team. So, I mean, I don't know if Xavier's going to do that. So I'll tell you this. I don't think we land Donovan Dent. I don't.
I'd say probably not. And I don't think our point guard is on this list, like our true one. I think it'll be later on. I don't even think he's probably entered the portal yet.
And you got to remember this too. We're the Bengals. We got Joe Burrow and we got T. Higgins and we got Otega Owe. You got to pay Otega Owe. He's got to get his. You know what I mean? He's got to. I need to see him pumping and shopping. I need to see him snacking.
Oh yeah, and I think next year is going to be a huge campaign for Otega Owe, right? Yeah. Like they can sell him for National Player of the Year and just ride that the whole way, and he'll be an NIL stud.
No, so I think his. I'm not worried.
His endorsements will earn themselves, right? Like he's already proven that. But I think just surrounding those guys with the best possible roster we can get out of the portal, like the freshmen and Otega Owe and the guys we've already recruited out of high school, surrounding them with the best players out of the portal, I think we could make for an even better team.
Yeah. No, I'm fully in agreement with you there. But yes, I don't know. I'm not buying the Donovan Dent. I'm not buying it. I don't think we go get him. I think that he is just, and I hate having to say, well, this college basketball player is really, but that's what it is nowadays. You know what I mean? Players are too expensive at times and all that. And but one thing, I mean, I trust Mark Pope to go get the right guys for this roster. I do. I think he's going to do a good job, but that's where we're at. And hey, the way this portal stuff works, everything that we're telling you today, there's going to be more different crazy news tomorrow. And, obviously when we're done in the NCAA tournament, this will become our number one topic of conversation. So Connor Hall just said zombies when I get home. Hell yes.
What map you running?
We play a lot of Origins.
Origins, okay.
Yeah.
Origins is a good one.
Yeah. So no, it is a good one. So yeah, I this is all going to change. It's all fluid. It's all different. But I'm excited, Carson. I'm excited about what's going to happen with this basketball team because I think it's going to be special.
If you could have two names off of this list that we listed today, with like no matter what, which two are you taking?
Money's not NIL is not a thing. Just two players. Shit, that's a good.
You also got to think about fit too, like how.
I know. It's a hard one. Gosh, that's a good question. Based on, man, that's tough. And then you got another point to think about too. And I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to kind of raise you a question because everyone's going to say, well, Donovan Dent. How would Donovan Dent and Otega Owe work? I mean, because I think Otega Owe is going to be a top 5 player in college basketball next year. I think he's got a chance to be a Player of the Year, Naismith Player of the Year finalist. So, yeah.
I think Dent I think they could work well together, though, because Dent provides enough outside scoring, and he's a great passer. So Otega slashing still, and him being he scores way better than Lamont does from the outside. So it'd be more of a defensive issue for other teams.
Yeah. All right, I've got my answer. Donovan Dent and Alvaro Fulgarius from Robert Morris, the power forward. Those are the two guys on this list that I would want the most right now.
Yeah, my number one's Alvaro Fulgarius. I think he's easily my number one, and I'm having a hard time picking number 2 because I'm deciding between Lamar Wilkerson and Magoon Guath from San Diego State.
If you would have said give me 4, I would have said Dent, Fulgarius, Wilkerson, and Guath. Those would have been my 4. So.
I just love Guath. Like I think he can be the absolute truth. Like I want him probably the most, just because I mean having a 7-footer that is that skilled that's hard to come by.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Georgetown and St. John's are battling it out for Providence transfer and former Wildcat Bryce Hopkins. There's some breaking news for you. Shout out Joe Tipton. So yeah, I think that's this has been a fun, we're gonna get this is going to be what we do when the season's over. I mean, it's gonna be portal stuff, it's gonna be projected lineups and projected roster. This will be the next 2 months of the show when we inevitably lose in San Antonio. When we inevitably win in San Antonio. The second game. Yes, that came out wrong. When we win in San Antonio. But I'm looking forward to, these are fun. The portal stuff's fun. It is.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for recruiting stuff. Like, as much as I love talking about previewing games and stuff, I think keeping up with players in the portal and recruits is probably one of my favorite things to do.
And I think the portal's almost even more fun than like high school recruiting, because it's 2 months, boom. It's not 2 years, it's 2 months, boom, 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 boom. And it's a big portion of your roster. So it's a ton of fun. And I'm excited about it. It's always fun stuff. So Carson, any other thoughts on the portal before we get out of here?
Nope, that's all I got. Appreciate you sitting here for 45 minutes with us, listening to some ball knowledge. It's been a good one. Happy Wednesday to everybody.
Yeah, happy Wednesday. Tomorrow, Carson and I will drop our preview of the matchup, the Sweet 16 matchup, may I add, with the Tennessee Volunteers. It's going to be a fun show. I'm excited about it, so we'll record that tomorrow. A lot of numbers and statistics and opinions to throw at y'all about this game tomorrow. And we're both really looking forward to tomorrow's show. So be ready for that. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. If you stuck around this whole time, thank you a ton. We've been talking a lot of transfers. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you tomorrow to break down the matchup with Tennessee right here on the Wildcats Today podcast.